Foxconn deal, up or down? Wisconsin lawmakers could take up debate on the $3 billion incentives package as early as tomorrow. Foxconn is the world's largest manufacturer of computer electronic parts. Its products are found in nearly every American home, business, and government office. But is Wisconsin overbuying? Is it offering too much to lure Foxconn to southeast Wisconsin to revive manufacturing, inject more tech in the region? Should we cool our heels, as Jeff in Appleton told us to do? 800-642-1234, or post your thoughts on the Joy Cardin Show Facebook page. Jimmy Anderson joins us now. He's a Democratic state representative from Fitchburg. Welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, why are you perhaps have some trepidation about Foxconn coming to Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern is the fact that we're going to be spending $3 billion of taxpayer money in order to bring Foxconn to the state. I think that's nearly about $1,200 per household, and not every household is going to be benefiting from this deal. So we're asking a lot from our taxpayers in order to pay for this deal.
In a press release, you said that Wisconsin taxpayers should not be subsidizing private corporations at the expense of our children's schools and roads. How do you see the state doing that?
Well, so if you look at the deal, it's going to cost roughly about $200 million to about $250 million per year. It's going to have to come from somewhere. The money is not just going to come, magically raining from the sky. So we're going to have to start looking at what we're going to be cutting. Look at what happened when we were trying to deal with the transportation budget this year. We're going to be dealing with that every single year. So as we've seen in the past, we've cut from schools, we've skimmed from road projects, and we've seen a lot of deterioration across our state. I worry that by doing this deal, we're going to be seeing a lot more.
Have you taken a look at the bill introduced Friday? What are you seeing in there?
So I have read the bill quite a few times, and there are a few things that stick out that are really, really concerning. First, the clawback provisions that are within the legislation are not mandatory. So that means that the WEDC has complete discretion as to whether or not they're actually going to be clawing back any of the money. And also, it's going to be on a year-to-year provision. So we're not going to be able to claw back all the money that they're going to get maybe over the next 5-10 years until they make a mistake. And then if they make that mistake, we only get that money back for that one particular year. So, if they don't live up to their standards, they might be able to collect a lot of money for Wisconsin taxpayers before we're able to even do anything. And that's, again, if the WEDC actually does its job, which we've seen in the past they have not done a good job of doing so.
What are your thoughts in the bill? There was some relaxing of environmental regulations, less hands-on control from the state DNR. How do you feel about that?
Really, really, really concerned. Essentially, what they can do is they can go in and destroy wetlands with pretty much impunity. They're not going to have the DNR come in and do any checking before they start doing any of the building. It's just a real complete abdication of responsibility when it comes to our state and its environmental standards. And as we've seen, what happens up in Kewaunee County when the state abdicates its responsibility, we start seeing some real deterioration of our groundwater, and people end up not even being able to drink the water coming out of their taps. I mean, that's not what we should be seeing in Wisconsin.
Let's go to Tom in Burlington. Hi, Tom.
When the high-speed rail was proposed for Wisconsin, the government was going to put $1 billion into our economy. $1 billion. In our economy, $1 billion does a tremendous amount of benefit. Mr. Walker wouldn't allow that. Now we are paying out $3 billion to get this factory in here, and the problem is we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have apartment buildings. We don't have the housing for this. And if you look at the traffic jam we have in northern Illinois and in southeastern Wisconsin in the morning and the afternoon, it's going to be a big mess. It's almost like building a new city in the area of this beautiful farmland we have. We have to look at this thing we really have to just look at every aspect of it, because it's not as beautiful as it looks.
Representative Jimmy Anderson.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really, really good point. Not only does it come to apply to the high-speed rail, but the Medicaid expansion. Now, these are all federal taxpayer dollars that we have already sent to the federal government. Those jobs would have brought those federal taxpayer dollars back to the state of Wisconsin, which everyone should want. So again, that really wouldn't have cost us too much out of pocket because, again, these are already dollars we're spending. This, on the other hand, is $3 billion going to be going out of the pockets of the state of Wisconsin into Foxconn, which is a private corporation. I don't think that makes a lot of sense from my perspective. But again, the caller brings up a really good point.
Well, Tom, thanks for your call. And so you're in Fitchburg, which is nearly a 2-hour drive from where this plant would likely be. How will this facility affect people who live outside of southeastern Wisconsin?
That's a really good question. I think there's going to be some benefits to Dane County where people that have, the kind of advanced engineering degrees that they may need are going to be able to go and work over there at Foxconn. But for the vast majority of the state, it's going to be a huge loser. I mean, it's particularly given the fact that many economists have pointed out that Wisconsin just doesn't have the workforce to meet the needs of Foxconn, and so there's going to be a lot of people coming up from Illinois in order to take these jobs. And so as I've been trying to point out from the very start, what we should have done is handled this regionally. We should have worked with Illinois. We should have worked with other states in the Midwest to create a package where we all pitch in together, so that way it wouldn't be so, I would say, particularly devastating to the budget of the state of Wisconsin. But what I worry is that this is just another way for Walker to try to secure re-election. So he was willing to risk the entire Wisconsin state budget in order to get a good headline. So again, we should be handling this regionally, not at a state level.
Let's go to Michael in Milwaukee. Hi, Michael. Go ahead.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. I work in manufacturing, and I'm concerned that the attention being paid to Foxconn and also the money being spent, it's going to mean that other manufacturers in Wisconsin are maybe not going to get incentives or grants or TIP funding, other things like that. All the whole focus is going to be on Foxconn, and I'm concerned that might happen. I'm happy that we've seen some economic development. I'm not being critical of the governor, but I still am concerned about what its effects might be on other manufacturers.
Representative?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, I think it's kind of crazy because we're not really doing this level of incentives for almost any other employer throughout the entire state. I mean, if you look at just the wage benefits, the tax incentives tied to wages, it's about $66,600 per job, whereas Foxconn is spending about $54,000 per job. And so that means that the Wisconsin taxpayer is taking on the entirety of the risk compared to the Wisconsin taxpayer, which is going to be, again, eating it all. So we're not doing this for any other employer throughout the state. I don't understand why it is that we can't expect Foxconn to take at least a little bit of the risk like we do in any other, free market capitalism.
Well, Governor Walker wants the legislature to convene in a special session starting tomorrow to take up this incentives package for Foxconn. And Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says he hopes the legislature will pass the measure by mid-August and with bipartisan support. How likely is that to happen? They seem to be pushing the gas on this, and it makes sense considering that they also have a budget to get through. Being in the minority, there's not going to be a lot that Democrats are going to be able to do to slow this down. The real question is whether or not there are going to be Republicans that actually, believe in fiscal conservatism and whether they're actually going to stand up and fight back against this deal. If there are Democrats that think that this is what's best for their district, I'm not going to criticize them for making that decision, but I genuinely believe that this is a bad deal for the taxpayers of the state of Wisconsin. Let's go to Mark now in Waukesha. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, good morning. I really, really do agree with everything your host is saying. One quick comment is Scott Walker is bragging about that this is going to create somewhere between 3,000 and 13,000 jobs, and that's all fine and dandy, great. The real downside, though, is Scott Walker ran on a campaign promise that he was going to create in his first 4 years at a minimum 250,000 new jobs. Wisconsin taxpayers and voters have to remember this in November of 2018, is that he has been extremely unaccountable in his, basically campaign promise to Wisconsinites for 250,000 jobs. He's still not there, and we're looking at now 7 years. The man is simply unaccountable.
Representative?
Yeah, I would be concerned about every actor that is involved in this deal. Like you said, not only did Governor Walker not meet his jobs promise after nearly 7 years since he made that promise, but when you look at the WEDC, which Governor Walker and the legislature is basically putting entirely in charge of this deal, they've severely mismanaged deals of much smaller proportions. I think we all remember when we ended up finding out that some companies were using the tax incentives that they were receiving to pay off their sports cars. But again, I don't trust the WEDC to do this job. And if you look at the actual legislation, the legislature completely advocates its responsibility to hold Foxconn accountable for this. And not only that, but Foxconn itself has made these big promises in the past and has not been able to meet the jobs goals that they said that they're going to create. If you look at Pennsylvania, they didn't even finish creating the plant, their manufacturing plant. And so it gives me great hesitation when thinking about the outcomes of this deal.
Well, as we wrap up here, what are you going to say to your fellow lawmakers when you convene on this incentive package? What do you plan to tell them? You're not in the majority here.
Right. Pretty much what I told your listeners. I mean, this is, if you are concerned about the taxpayers of the state of Wisconsin, then vote no on this deal. If you don't think that we should be subsidizing multi-billion, multinational corporations, vote no on this deal. If you don't think it makes sense to be spending $200 to $250 million per year on incentives, vote no on this deal. If you care about the environment, vote no on this deal.
And I'm going to have to stop you there. Jimmy Anderson is a Democratic state representative from Fitchburg. Earlier, we talked with Republican State Senator Van Wangard, Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce President Kurt Bauer, and One Wisconsin Now Executive Director Scott Ross. We can continue this discussion about Foxconn over on the Joy Cardin Show Facebook page. State Capitol Report was produced by Bill Martins and Brianne Chasso. Michelle Johnson is executive producer. I'm Kate Archer-Kent in for the Joy Cardin Show, and conversations like these are found on the Ideas Network.